Welcome friends to Muskrat Links. Today we've got a super exciting golf ball testing video. We are going to be testing the seed golf balls up against their Titleist Pro V1 counterparts. Who's going to come out on top? Stay tuned and find out. Okay everybody, let's get our usual topics out of the way early here. First of all, thank you guys for the support on last week's hole-in-one video. That video was absolutely amazing. If for some reason you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. The editing is absolutely crispy in that. I'm super proud of it. Second thing, this one is actually a subscriber recommended video. My friend Colin went ahead and messaged me saying he plays the seed golf balls and he would love to have them tested on the channel to see how they do. And he was very kind enough to send us some of his golf balls. So big shout out Colin. Thank you very much for sending over these seed golf balls. So that brings us to another point. If you guys want to see any other golf balls tested here on the channel, let me know what you want to see. I'm open to test pretty much everything. We've got, hold on, like every golf ball under the sun over there. All kinds of premium golf balls, all the way down to the lowly noodles and whatever you want down there. We can test anything. So go ahead and tap that subscribe button right now. Join the Muskrat Links golf team today. Help us get to 10K this year. Hopefully the snow is going to be melting in a month or two and we can get back out there on the real golf course. But today we've got our test and it's going to be a doozy. We've got the Seed 01, which is essentially the equivalent of the normal Pro V1. And we've got the Seed 02, which is essentially the equivalent of the Pro V1X. So I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of already hitting a bunch of Pro V1 shots because you guys have seen me hit all those shots before. We're gonna hit the seed golf balls now. We're gonna go ahead and collect the data and we're actually gonna review it inside today because I wanna compile the data a little bit and make it a little bit more readable and easy to understand for you guys so you can check everything out. And as usual, we've got our SkyTrak here as our launch monitor, which measures ball data really precisely, so I'm happy with that. But again, it doesn't measure club head data, it just guesses at it. So we're not gonna be paying too much attention to club head data today. But of course, we're just going to be swinging as smoothly and consistently as possible so we can get accurate results and compare them to each other so we can draw some conclusions about these golf balls. I have not looked into the seed golf ball, so I don't know what they're supposed to do. I assume they're going to behave the same way as their Pro V1 counterparts, right? Like the Pro V1X is, I think, higher spinning, higher launching than the Pro V1. Not totally sure, but you guys let me know. The data will tell us, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and jump right in and test these golf balls. Seed 01 starting off first. Let's go. You guys know the drill, of course. We're gonna be doing a 7-iron, a driver, and then a 58-degree wedge so we can really test all facets of this golf ball to see what the ball speed's like, what the launch angle is like, what our spin numbers are gonna be looking like. So it's gonna be a great test. Starting out with the Seed 01 here, we actually have the yellow variant of these golf balls. I believe these golf balls are like $35 a dozen, which is again $25 cheaper than the Pro V1. So if we can get some good performance out of these balls today, again, I'll tell you like it is. This is not a sponsored video, of course. All the opinions are my own and mine only, so if this is a good golf ball, I'll tell you, but really, the data is gonna tell us. As far as compression goes, we actually just got an article released by MyGolfSpy about the Seed 01, which I think came in, again, this is independently tested, not a manufacturer number, as usual, came in at 75 on the Addy scale. So again, that's a little bit on the softer side, but should be comparable to the Pro V1, so we'll see how we do. Let's get our numbers. Push that one a hair, but launching nice and high, good to see here. I usually get about 170 carry out of my 7-iron, so that is well within the range of what we would expect to see. All right, good start for the seed. I don't usually play a yellow ball either. I find it a smidge distracting, so we'll see if that plays into the data at all. I doubt it will play any role whatsoever, but just a mental thing for me. Beautiful, that's looking a little better on that one, nice and straight down the line. Out there, 186 carry, 173. There we go, that's a nice looking one. First impressions here, it almost sounds a little bit softer than the Pro V1 counterparts here. Again, that doesn't really mean much though. We'll see what's going on when we get to the data. And of course, remember guys, at the end, we're gonna cut these golf balls in half too to see what's on the inside. And of course, we'll do a little durability check to see how they fared because we've hit the same number of shots with all of these golf balls at the very end. So stick around for that and the data analysis. There is another good one, back-to-back, really good shots here. I also forgot to say, stick around to the end to see who won the giveaway from the last video as well. Yeah, so that sound you just heard was the microphone dying in that session. I didn't notice until after I actually finished the session that it was dead. So what we're gonna do now is gonna go ahead and add some more data to the pile, because the more data the merrier, right? I wanna go ahead and talk about these golf balls as I'm hitting them. So I'm gonna go ahead and re-hit an entire another session of just the seed golf balls. And don't worry, I already did the durability test, so you can see the durability between the seed and the Provies after they've been hit the same amount of times. But yeah, I'd rather talk to you guys while I'm doing this. So let's go ahead and do another quick session of seed golf balls. I think we'll pick it up with the Seed 02 7 iron now, since we got through most of the Seed 01 7 iron. So, all right, let's roll. Let's go ahead and take the Seed 02 downrange and see what we got. Really good first strike here. Started it right on line. We'll see if it makes it out to the pile of the Seed 01s. Yes, we do, and a little bit further as well. Once again, I still don't know what the difference is supposed to be between these two balls, so I'll be very interested to see what the data says at the end. Then we can kind of compare it all and see if what the manufacturer is telling us is what actually happens. That's always a fun point of contention with golf balls, right? All right, let's keep going. Another pretty nice one there. Pulled it a hair, but it's still fading back for us. Looks like we're getting a smidge more distance than the Seed 01, which makes sense because this is a slightly firmer golf ball as a whole. We'll probably start to see a more pronounced distance difference or ball speed difference when we get up to the driver. Of course, we might not see it as much here and certainly not much with the wedges, but something to keep an eye on in the end data. Right off the bat, I do feel like I prefer the Seed 02 just a little bit more, just because I do prefer a slightly firmer golf ball and you can kind of feel a little bit more squishiness off the Seed 01. It's not that big of a difference, and again, I would be happy to play either of them essentially. But you know, maybe it's just because this one's white too, who knows? A yellow golf ball has never been a big draw for me. I prefer just a plain white golf ball, so. Last shot for the Seed 02, then we move up to the driver and see how it performs. Yep, that's a really nice one to finish off one. Started it right down the pipe, faded it a little bit, carrying 176 out to 189. Definitely got some good distance on that one. Driver up next, going back to the Seed 01. Let's see what these numbers are. Of course, we're using the same tee height for all of our driver shots, and well, I'll show you the driver as usual. We've got our Epic Max LS set to 10 degrees with no draw or fade bias built into it. So hopefully we'll get some nice consistent fairway finders out of all these golf balls. Again, I'll be swinging as neutrally as possible so we can find some nice clean data. That's a pretty good first drive, not too bad. A little bit of an overfade, but carrying 265 out to 290. Ball speed 158, pretty good spin. That's a little spinny for me, so we'll see if we can tone that down for some of the next shots. There we go, that's a pretty good one. I got that a little high on the club face, so it's a little bit higher launching than usual, but we get our 266 carry out to 295, nice. This is a really good shot to show the relationship between all these numbers, right? Like the last one had 158 ball speed, so I caught it much more in the center, but it was a lot spinnier and a lot lower launching, and this one ended up going even further, but it's because it had a higher launch angle and lower spin. So it's not all about ball speed for distance. There's a combination of factors that work together. So there's a lot of good ways to hit a good drive, but even more ways to hit a bad drive. All right, let's keep going. All right, last one with the Seed 01, and then we'll move on to the Seed 02. Driver stats looking maybe a little slower than my normal ball speed, but again, that's kind of to be expected with a slightly softer golf ball. So, all right, let's hit one more. There we go, decent last ball there, pulled it a little bit, carrying out to 266, rolling out to 292, pretty good. Launch angle looks decent, spin is fine. All right, now off to the slightly firmer Seed 02. Let's see how she does. So I think all I can really expect from this is maybe slightly more ball speed. I don't actually know the compression difference between the two. I don't think it's a lot. I don't think the Seed 02 is like 95 or something like that on the Addy scale. But again, maybe we'll have our own way to start testing the compression of golf balls very soon. So stay tuned for that video. But yeah, let's go ahead and send this guy downrange and see if we can notice any patterns yet. A little bit of a draw on that first one there. Not as much height, that's for sure. Carried out there pretty nicely though. Good distance as well. Yeah, 159 ball speed right off the rip. Interesting, interesting. 11-degree launch angle I think I see up there. Not sure if this one's supposed to launch higher or lower or what the story is, but we'll take the additional ball speed, that's for sure. And there's a pretty good second one. I can almost describe the sensation of this ball. The 02 almost feels smaller than the 01. I think because it's a little firmer for some reason in my head, maybe the sound's a little bit different, and it sounds like it's impacting the club for a short amount of time. So for some reason, it just feels smaller to me. I don't know. It's kind of a really weird way to describe the difference between the two. Could I tell the difference between the two of them blind? Probably not right now, maybe. But again, the data is what we care about. So let's hit some more, get to that 6th shot, and then we'll move on to the wedges. Ooh, and there's a nice one. That's kind of the drive I come to expect. It was a little bit off the toe, so it's not gonna be a massive distance gain here. Hey, pretty good carry, pretty good numbers overall though. That's a great drive. Oh, that was the last shot. I didn't even commentate it. I thought I had one more. Well, that's fine. It was a great drive. Let's move on to the 58 degree and see how we do. Right, seed 01 up here first. This is probably where we're gonna see the most difference in spin numbers. I'll be interested to see what the gap is between these two balls, if any. There might not be much gap at all, hard to say. But yeah, this will tell us a lot, especially about the launch angle as well and the maximum height. I'm really interested to see what this data looks like. I'm very excited about this video in general. So, all right, seed 01 up first. There we go, straight down the middle there, a little bit of a fade, probably carrying 95-ish. Yeah, 93 out to 97. 34 degree launch angle, backspin right at about 10,000. That's kind of a typical shot for me, so it's good to see that the balls are at least performing up to what I would expect from a urethane covered golf ball. Another good looking one right there. Started that one a little bit further left, so it fades back to the right nicely. Beautiful. Same thing there, 34 degree launch angle, 10,200 spin, looking good. We've got a pretty nice grouping out there from the seed 01. Let's go ahead and drop one more down there and then move on to the seed 02. Perfect last shot here. I think I caught that one pretty cleanly. Oh, bang in the middle of that grouping. That is looking great. 10,000 backspin, 33 degree launch angle. All right, let's see where the seed 02 launches and how much spin we get. I wasn't actively doing all that math in my head, but it seemed like we were averaging about 33 degrees of launch angle and about 10,000 backspin. So hopefully we can make some immediate comparisons before we go inside and check the actual data in the nice chart. So seed 02 up here next, let us see. Up and away we go. Pretty nice one, not fading as much as my previous ones did. Out to 95, spin numbers. Ooh, interesting. 11,500 just about on that spin. Launch angle pretty much the same. I wonder if that one had a higher apex because it had a higher spin. Maybe. I can't tell from this screen, but we'll be able to tell from the actual data once we get there. So, all right, let's put a few more downrange. Decent, decent. That's looking like my swing I come to expect. Not too bad at all. One thing to note, I certainly don't feel as much a difference with the iron shots as I did with the driver. It definitely feels basically identical hitting these two balls, so we'll have to see what the numbers say in the end, but yeah, definitely very playable, that's for sure. Yeah, grooving it in there real nice, right into the pile, a lovely jubbly. And 10,000 on the spin, 32 on the launch angle, pretty good. Final ball with the seed 02 here, and then we are moving on to the data analysis. All right, let's send her out there. Up and away, not bad, kind of short. That data might get thrown out. Yeah, probably. All right, time to go inside and compile all the data, and while I work on that, I will leave you guys with the durability test. Remember, I checked the durability before I hit all these extra shots, so you can see these balls with the same amount of shots in them versus the Pro V, so I'll leave you with that, and then I'll see you back at the data. Here are the results of our durability test, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the seed 01 on the left and the Pro V1 on the right here. And as you can see, it almost looks like the Pro V1 took more damage here, especially from some of those spinning 58-degree wedges. And I want to say it's because the seed has a defined seam in the middle of it. Like you can clearly see the seam kind of running through along this axis that I'm rotating here. And I want to say that made it almost like a little tougher than the Pro V1 because of that seam, versus the Pro V1 that had just, you know, clean dimples going through there, so it got scuffed up a little bit more. So certainly, if anything, the seed actually took less damage than the Pro V1 did. All right, let's check the seed 02 and the Pro V1X. We've got the seed on the left again and the Pro V1 on the right. So our Pro V1X took, you know, a fair bit of damage, less than the normal Pro V1 did, so pretty good results there. And then the seed looks like took a decent amount of damage as well, maybe a little bit more there. It's interesting, of course, that this one does not have a pronounced seam running through the middle here, or at least down along this line. So Damage looks pretty similar for both of them, so let's go ahead and chop these seeds in half and see what we got on the inside. I think the one thing I do know is that the Seed 02 is a 4-piece ball and the Seed 01 is a 3-piece ball. So let's go ahead and crack in and see what we got. All right, looking pretty good here. Let's go ahead and start our chop. No issues for the chopper here. And here we go, the big reveal. Seed 01 on the inside is, ooh, you get this like dark blue looking color here. That is pretty cool. It is indeed a 3-piece golf ball there. You can see the outer cover, the darker blue mantle layer, and then the slightly lighter dark blue inner core there. Very large, nice and smooth, not too much regrind in there, so that looks pretty good. Quick close up for you guys as well. I also don't see any areas that look like it's thinner in the mantle than any other layers. So it looks fairly consistent all the way around. Pretty good. Seed 02 up here next. Got him hopefully more or less centered in our chopper. Let's go ahead and squish him down, chop through, and see what we got for this nice 4-piece construction. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the Seed 02. Oh, that's pretty cool. I was not expecting it to look like that. We've almost got a very similar colored mantle there. You can just about see the difference between the mantle and the very thin outer cover there. And then we've got our slightly thinner, bluer mantle on the inside, and then you got like the mint green inner core. It almost looks like a gradient core, kind of similar to how the Pro V1s are made these days, where it is a gradient from either low to high or high to low compression, depending on what you're going for in that core there, and it kind of leads to that discoloration where you can see it's a little bit lighter green in the center and a little bit darker green out towards the edges. And here's a little extra close-up there for you guys, so you can really just about see the color difference in that first mantle layer and the outer cover. But yeah, that is pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the data review portion of this video. And just before we jump into there, I'm gonna do the giveaway drawing from our hole-in-one video. Again, I asked you guys to go ahead and comment below your favorite part of this video or your favorite video on the channel. Just make sure you got the word favorite into your comment. So we're gonna go ahead and pick the winner now for the Muskrat Links gift bag. Here we go, we are rolling here and we get Cowboy65. He says, my favorite video was the garage sim build video. And yes, that was an absolutely banging video. That video has actually helped out a ton of people build the simulators in their garage. But hey, Cowboy, I will be sending you a comment now. You can go ahead and reply to that. I'll go ahead and get all of your information squared away and verified, and we'll get you the cool Muskrat Links gift bag. Thank you so much for the support, and thank all of you guys for your support as well. Let's go ahead and jump right into the data. First, let's go ahead and talk about what these golf balls were supposed to do based on what the manufacturer said. So the Seed 01 obviously is the Pro V1 variant, and then the Seed 02 is the Pro V1X variant, right? So the Seed 02 is supposed to be slightly firmer than the Seed 01. That we pretty much knew, that was a given. It is supposed to be higher spinning, especially around the short game, which again, I think we predicted because that's what the Pro V1X is supposed to be. However, it is lower launching, lower trajectory. So that's kind of strange because the Pro V1X is higher launching, higher trajectory than the Pro V1. So it's kind of going a different direction than the Pro V1X there. So let's see what the numbers say. Here we go. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a while for you guys, and I've highlighted some of my favorite points in yellow, and then I've got another special surprise at the end for you so we can really verify this data. So as you can see, we've got all the data. I compiled all the averages and put them into this nice chart for you guys to check out. So we've got the Pro V1, the Seed 01, the Pro V1X, and the Seed 02 for the 7-iron, the driver, and the 58 degree. So starting with the 7-iron, we can take a look at some of these launch angles here. Overall, the Seed was higher launching than the Pro V in both cases. And as it turns out, the Seed 02 is actually lower spinning, I found, than the Seed 01, which is kind of weird because as you can see, the Pro V1X was higher spinning than the Pro V1, which is what they claim. So again, we kind of verified our data collection by seeing that pattern there. But then the Seed 02 was actually lower. So that's kind of a little weird for the 7-iron. As for the driver, there are some patterns we can take a look at right away here. We have the Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Pro V1X was a little bit faster because it was a little bit firmer, and the same pattern was true here. Seed 01 Seed 02 was a little bit firmer, so we got a little bit faster, a little higher ball speed there as well. So that is all well and good. Data is looking real nice. And then as for the spin, same thing again. It actually was a little lower on the Seed 02 than the Seed 01, which is kind of counterintuitive to what they claim. So that's a little bit strange. Distance-wise, it's about what we would expect based on the higher ball speed. So the Seed 02 is going to go a little bit further because it was hit a little bit harder because of that ball speed and firmness. Again, that pattern is also true for the Pro V1 and Pro V1X. Comparing those numbers, the Seed actually did go a little bit further than the Pro V1s in general, so that was kind of cool to see, I guess, for a pattern. And then one other thing I wanted to point out here, the flight actually was about the same here. I had 90 feet for the Seed 01 and 89 feet for the Seed 02. So it claimed it was a lower flight, lower launching golf ball, but that's not exactly what we're seeing so far. Kind of interesting from the Seed 02 to the Seed 01. I actually don't see much difference at all, and if there is a difference, it's actually that it's lower spinning, which is not what they claim. So again, we'll carry on, we'll just take a look at the rest of our data. Moving on to the 58 here, which is where we're gonna see the biggest difference in the spin numbers especially, and some of the launch angles as well. So one thing you can note right off the bat, my Seed 02 is actually a little bit slower than the Seed 01, which is not exactly what I would expect from a firmer golf ball, but again, this is a 58 degree, so it's not like we're creaming these balls anyway. Launch angle, 31 degree launch angle for the Pro V1, 34 degree launch angle for the Pro V1X. It claims to be launching higher, it is launching higher. Perfect. Seed 02 claims to be launching lower, but is actually launching higher. So we're getting some weird numbers here. And again, it claims to be spinning more the Seed 02, but we found it was actually spinning less off of the 58 degree. So it's almost like it's performing the opposite of what they said. I found that it's lower spinning and then actually higher launching. So kind of strange there. So you guys have had a chance to check out all of this data. So now what I want to show you is the MyGolfSpy 2023 ball testing data. This is with a robot, so you take the human element, me, completely out of this, and I want to share this data with you guys too because this is really cool. Here we go, and they did this test with a bunch of different club head speeds as well. We're going to be going for fast, which is actually a smidge faster than iSwing, so the numbers are going to be a little bit more. So let's start out with fast, and we've got the mid iron, which I think they tested with an 8 iron. We used the 7 iron, whatever, doesn't really make a difference. So they showed that the Seed 02 was a little bit higher launching, again, even though Seed claimed it was lower launching, so that kind of backs up what we were finding, which is pretty cool. And then look at this, the Seed 02 was lower spinning than the Seed 01 for the MyGolfSpy robot test as well. This is crazy. So they claimed it was going to be lower launching, higher spinning, and I found, and MyGolfSpy found, that it was actually higher launching and lower spinning for the Seed 02. Listen, I don't know what they were testing originally or how they came up with their claims, but again, it just goes to show you the manufacturer claims essentially mean nothing. You can take them with a grain of salt. You have to go look at these independent testing websites. You have to do the testing yourself to get the real data, right? Let's go ahead and jump to the driver just for a second here as well so you guys can see that data. So here we go. We've got the ball speed here, essentially the same between the Seed 01 and the Seed 02, which is kind of interesting. We'd expect some discrepancy there based on the firmness and the compression of the ball. Launch angle, pretty much the same. Spin number, a little bit lower, not substantial though. And then the max height, this is a big one. That's how high the ball is actually flying. And this is where we see the big difference here. The Seed 02 had a max height of only 74. That is very, very low compared to the 90 of the Seed 01. I mean, that ball has got some penetrating ball flight on it for sure. So that more matches the claims. And if we tab back, do we see that in our data as well? Kind of. Our Seed 02 flew a little bit lower than the Seed 01, but not enough that I would really call that substantial. But maybe that's where you're seeing those manufacturer claims of the lower, more penetrating ball flight. It's on the driver. And lastly, if we jump to the wedge here, we just have to go ahead and sort this back again by club since there isn't any driver data. So we'll pop in the sand wedge here. So this is a little clipped wedge shot. This is just a little 35 yard. We were taking full swing wedge shots. But again, this will show you some kind of relevant data to our test. We've got the ball speed being a little bit lower on the Seed 02, which is actually what we found in our test as well, so that's pretty neat. Launch angle, pretty much the same. Height, pretty much the same. Spin, a little bit less again. So really, the call out of the Seed 02 being higher spinning than the Seed 01, I don't think we can say that's true at all. We found it was actually lower spinning. MyGolfSpy found it was lower spinning. But again, this is really cool to kind of validate all that data that we were doing, put the robot into it and see what the robot does. This is a really cool tool. You guys should be using this for all of your golf decisions. There's lots of sites like this out here, but I found that My Golf Spy is really reliable, really independent, and a great way to get some facts that you can use to help make better decisions for your golf game. But guys, that is going to be about the end of our testing here for the Seed 01 and the Seed 02 golf balls. Again, big shout out to Colin for sending me those golf balls. I really had a blast testing them. If you guys want to see me test any golf balls, let me know down in the comments. I am more than happy to test whatever you guys want here on the channel. Again, this is great to really verify that the ways we're testing and how we're testing is actually very applicable and very accurate compared to some robot data. So that is really cool to see. Make sure to tap that subscribe button. Join the Muskrat Links golf team today. We've got so much cool stuff here on the channel. And again, also be sure to follow on TikTok as well. We just started posting some content on there as well. So if that's more of your thing, go ahead and look for us on TikTok. Just Muskrat Links Golf, of course. But I think that's going to be it for me. Have fun out there, everyone.